All right, guys. So, today, as you can see from the title, we're going to be talking about how literally everything around you is trying to keep you down. Um, and I'm more so mean institutions than I do just the things that are right around you. And for me, the main three big things that are trying to keep you down are media, which could be mainstream media or social media, schools, and government. And in a way, those things all kind of blend together. But to start off with media, first of all, mainstream media, if you pay any attention, you realize, first of all, a lot of the stories they do are fake. Like, you can see all these pictures of these news reporters going into flooded areas and standing in the deepest part possible or sitting in a canoe when actually the water's like maybe 12 inches deep, which is not that bad. So they try to fake things, first of all, which is. But that's just like the base level of trying to fake things. They also do a lot of things to promote fear in a lot of different ways about a lot of different things. So that keeps you down. Social media keeps you down because, especially things like even though I make YouTube Shorts because you can end up watching that for 30 minutes while you're just watching 5 seconds of a video and over and over again. Same thing with Instagram Reels and same thing with TikTok. That keeps you down because you're not doing anything productive. You're just staring at your phone, doing nothing, and watching videos that you likely don't care about. So that's just one way it keeps you down. The other way it keeps you down is that it's constantly promoting being, for men, being feminine. Which, if they were promoting being feminine in general, that wouldn't be as bad. But because it's telling men to be feminine and women to be masculine, that's where it goes bad. And that causes a lot of problems. Then to go to schools, this is something I was kind of talking about with my girlfriend today. She's doing some project where she was looking at the debt relief for student debt relief and how the federal government would somehow magically print $400 billion, 400 billion more dollars that appear out of thin air and devalue the currency. And then 25 million of that would go to actually relieving the student debt, I believe. Or 25 billion. I believe that's what she said. But so basically everyone would get $20,000 of debt relief, which is dumb. And we were talking about how when that happens, when people are given money by the government, they always act as if they have more money or like free money. So even if someone had $100,000 worth of student debt, if they got 20 of that taken off, they believe now and they're going to act like they have $20,000 more to spend. Because, well, I was going to spend that anyway, so what does it matter? And it was the same thing with the stimulus checks. How people get some free money from the government and all of a sudden they act like they can buy anything. But that's how it's trying to keep you down. Is they're at the same time they are devaluing the currency, they are also they're giving you free money, which first of all is never a good idea to take free money, especially from the government. They're devaluing the currency by printing money to magically give it to people. And then on top of that, if you are allowing yourself to take that money, you're saying, well, it doesn't really matter anyway, and you're okay with devaluing the currency, and everyone gets poorer, too. So that definitely keeps you down for sure. But of course, it's designed that way. And then we were also talking about how when that happens, because people would get poorer, they're then told, well, you can get a high paying job if you spend 4 years of your life, most likely wasting 4 years of your life, going to college, and then the cycle repeats. And that's how they get you. Because honestly, there are so few jobs. And every time somebody mentions college being useful, they talk about becoming a lawyer, a doctor, or nurse. That's basically all they talk about. Every single time you ask someone, well, why should someone go to college? But then they tell everybody they need to go because then you get a high paying job. And they say, well, you can get $100,000 a year working this job, but in 1 year, that $100,000 will only be worth 80. So you're welcome for that. And then also, you spend $100,000 getting this education anyway. So also you're welcome. There's so many things these people do that are in power to keep you down. And the only reason it's gotten to this point is because of weak men. That's the only reason. And same thing with schools, or going back to schools. I mentioned John Taylor Gatto quite a lot, and he was a school teacher for 26 years. And in his resignation speech, he basically said, everything we're doing within public schools is ruining kids, absolutely ruining kids. So from a very, very young age, people are trying to keep you down. And a lot of people might go, well, that's not, it could just be that they came up with this curriculum and that's how it is. That's how we've been teaching for a long time. So, but that wouldn't really make sense, especially since nowadays so much of the curriculum is political. And that's definitely not or how it's supposed to be. Not at all. And kids don't learn anything in school that's actually important. I mean, if they went back to reading and writing, at very least, reading and writing, then it would be much better. But they don't because they want to talk about how you can be trans at 6 years old. And if your little boy says maybe one time he's a girl, then he's a girl. But there's so... Oh, I think the stream went out for a second. That was weird. Hey man, greetings from Switzerland. My next goal is to take my kids out of school into homeschooling. We tried it during lockdowns for 3 months and it was just sweet. The relationship 10x'd. That's fantastic. It's also very, very cool that I can reach people from Switzerland too. But I think that is a fantastic idea. Because not only do you get to spend more time with your kids, but you're actually, you know what you're teaching. You know what they're being taught. That's very, very important. And so many parents overlook that because your parents, your grandparents, and your great-grandparents, maybe your great-grandparents, went to school. It's just become this normal thing where you send your kids off to school. And at least in America, if you don't do that, if you don't send them to a private school or public school, then you will get arrested for that if you don't put them in a homeschool either. So, which makes you think that's a little strange that the government will arrest you if you don't either go to a school that you might not be able to afford, like a private school, or if you don't go to one of their schools where you learn their curriculum, which creates factory workers. And great men are certainly not factory workers. Not at all. Great men may work in a factory for some period of time, but that does not become their career their entire life. Not to say that factory workers aren't important either, because they obviously are, but when the entire curriculum is about making carbon copies out of every single child to do the same exact thing and become worker bees their entire life, not good. Definitely not good. Um, so everything's trying to keep you down. Like big institutions, I mean, are trying to keep you down. Hopefully, not the people around you. But big institutions like the media, like schools and government. Because if you paid any attention with over the last couple years, you've seen that all those things have blended together. School, government, and media. Whether that's mainstream media or social media. All those things have come together. And I can tell you one thing, if you have learned any history, not the history they teach in schools because that's biased and wrong, if you have actually taught yourself history, at least starting at the beginning of the 20th century, then you know government is never good. Never good. And it always makes things worse. Yeah, it's the system. We call it the program. We only do what our parents and grandparents did, so it has to be good. Right, exactly. We assume that because they did these things, then it must be the right thing to do, which is how humans work. We see other people doing things, and especially relatives, we go, oh, that must be how we do it. We need to become reconditioned, man. By reconditioned, man. Right, exactly. To be honest, I remember basically nothing from what I learned in school: read, write, count, done. And no one ever asked me for other things in my career. Well, yeah, and that makes absolute sense. If you're forced to sit in a class, at least in America, it's for about 6.5 to 7 hours a day. As a child, especially, you are not gonna pay attention. Absolutely not. I know when I was in private school and in public schools, I didn't want to pay attention. I'm being forced to sit here. I have to wake up earlier than people my age should wake up, especially since we're developing. We go to school for 6.5, 7 hours a day. We come back home and then we have to do homework for 2 hours. And then the cycle repeats the entire year. That's ridiculous. And then we learn nothing. At least nothing important for the future. But that's how they get you because the history's wrong. At least in America, they talk about the Civil War, and that's a big one. That's all lied about. World War One is lied about. World War Two is lied about. And thankfully, when I learned about the Vietnam War and basically from about 1960 to 1975, I had a good teacher who taught that, who was actually trying to educate us. So, but it's so rare. It's so rare to find any good teachers nowadays, especially within the past couple of years. All these much younger people have come into the education system and have screwed it all up because they want to introduce politics to kids. They want to, and they also just want to go with the curriculum. And they're not evil people. I don't think a lot of them, they're evil, a lot of them actually, but they want to be good. They think they're good. They think they're doing the right thing. And it's so wrong. And that's that's the biggest way that men are and everyone is kept down is because of the education system. It's awful. So bad. And I encourage you guys to check out John Taylor Gatto because to hear from a teacher that was teaching for 26 years and then was teacher of the year for at least 1 year, I believe. To hear him say that actually everything he was doing was terrible, and the exact opposite of what teachers should be doing, what schools should be doing. I mean, it just shows you. And of course, he's only one teacher. But again, we have to go back to the fact that most people aren't going to do anything. They go with the flow, they see what other people are doing around them, and if what everybody else is doing is considered normal, they'll just go along with that. No matter how good or bad it is, they're drifters and they're idle. My kid is in the third class, 9 years old. They start 2 times in a week at 7 a.m. Then they have only 2 days in the week when they finish at noon. The rest of the days they have to stay till 4 p.m. and do homework. See, I think that's a pretty good system. I think that is a very good system, actually. Yeah. And that's the great thing when parents do it, is that they can direct it. You guys can direct it. You know what they're being taught. You can help them with their schedule. And you won't get harassed by any of the school administration if you have to take your kid out of school for a day for some reason. So, anyway, guys, I think that's it for today. I definitely would check out, if I were you, I would check out the video I released today about being a definite versus indefinite thinker, because that is definitely important to think about. Need to be a definite thinker, especially as a man. But anyway, guys, I'll see you guys